Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar called All Wrapped Up, Key Insights from the 2018 Holiday Season. I'm Debbie House, Editor-in-Chief of Retail Touchpoints, and I'll be moderating today's presentation. We're honored to be joined today by three executives, Rob Garth and Kayla Schwartz from Salesforce, as well as Matthew Day from Spalding. They'll be helping all of us start the new year off on the right foot to deliver an inspired retail experience. For today's presentation, we're using the On24 platform. Right now, you should be viewing the On24 dashboard, which shows the live viewing screen. By clicking on the Questions widget on the right-hand side of the screen, you can type in questions during the live presentation and press Submit. You'll also find a widget named Resources under Questions, and there you can download any assets that our presenters have provided. All you have to do is click on the resource, and it'll automatically download. We also welcome you to share your insights on Twitter using the Holiday Insights hashtag. And on this screen, you can also see the handles for speakers and their companies. For those of you who might be new to Retail Touchpoints, here's a quick overview. We're an all-digital media company publishing 3 weekly email and online newsletters, daily news, special reports, and multimedia presentations. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our newsletters. We welcome input and feedback through traditional means, phone and email, and also social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Our website is www.retailtouchpoints.com. Before I introduce today's speakers, I just want to remind the audience that the presentation is slated for approximately 30 minutes with time for live questions at the end. And we invite you once again to submit your questions in the On24 questions area as they come to mind. Our presenters have agreed to stay online following the presentation to respond to your questions. This webinar is being recorded, and all attendees will receive an archive link to the presentation to go back and review or share with colleagues. So today, like I said, we'll be hearing from 3 executives. Rob Garth is a VP at Salesforce, where he leads industry strategy and insights for the retail team. He works with execs at leading brands and upstarts from around the world on unified engagement strategies and loves writing, speaking, and participating on retail boards. Rob has sat on all sides of the retail table, as a practitioner at Lids, Marshalls, and Hit or Miss, as an industry analyst at AMR Research, a strategy consultant at IBM, and software leader at Demandware. We'll also hear from Kayla Schwartz, who's a senior industry strategist at Salesforce Commerce Cloud, formerly Demandware. Her background includes extensive data analysis and storytelling, and her main focus is giving retailers a competitive edge by identifying new opportunities based on data-driven evidence. She's been with Salesforce since 2014. Our third speaker today is Matthew Day, Digital Marketing Manager, Content and E-commerce at Spalding. He previously held social and digital marketing roles at Beam Suntory, Edelman Digital, and Jackson. Spalding is the largest basketball equipment supplier in the world and the official basketball of the National Basketball Association, Women's National Basketball Association, and the NBA G League, in addition to the official backboard of the NBA, WNBA, and NCAA Final Four. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Kayla to kick it off. Welcome, Kayla.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much. We have an awesome webinar planned for you all today. We are going to deep dive into our top holiday trends and share what shoppers were really doing as they shop for their friends and family this holiday. We have a really great agenda. We're first going to dive into our top trends for the 2018 holiday season. So we'll break down the overall patterns we saw and then share our top 5 shopping trends that dominated headlines this year. We'll then be joined by Matt Day from Spalding. We're really excited to have him here today. He's going to share with us his experience from the holiday season, what worked for Spalding, and what they're focusing on as they head into 2019 to prepare for next year. We're then going to switch gears and wrap up our holiday with a little game we call Buzz or Bust. We will present Matt with a series of industry buzzwords, and he'll tell us whether he thinks they're buzzworthy or if they are a bust. But before we dive in, I want to take a step back. The insights that we share today are the true story of shopping. We define our shopping season as starting on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving all the way through to Boxing Day, December 26th. And we're going to share findings from shopping activity happening across the Salesforce Commerce Cloud, Marketing Cloud, and Service Cloud throughout the entire 2018 holiday season. The data we collect comes from over 500 million global shoppers making visits and transactions from all across the world. We're also analyzing the marketing activity from 88 billion messages sent this season, as well as over 4 billion service cases fielded by service agents. So this data truly represents what shoppers are doing and saying, and it allows us to have these conversations with you all today. Now let's dive into some of these key trends that we saw. The first thing that we're going to do is break down the anatomy of the season. What kind of shopping behavior did we observe as we move throughout the holiday? So we started off the season with a really strong Cyber Week performance. As you can see from this chart, revenue started building as we led up to Black Friday, and Black Friday, again, for another year, outperformed Cyber Monday in driving the most amount of digital revenue. But something that we observed was the role that Thanksgiving, the Thursday before Black Friday, was as a key digital shopping day during Cyber Week. Thanksgiving, in fact, was the third largest digital revenue producing day this season. Shoppers came early to start their holiday shopping. And shoppers were really enticed to start pulling out their wallets early. Discount rates started to climb early in the week as retailers started to showcase those Black Friday deals earlier and earlier. We saw discount rates climb up to 27% on Thursday, and that carried over through till Black Friday. And then over the weekend, discounts continued to climb up to 28% and finally peaked at 31% on Cyber Monday. Monday marks that greatest discount rate for shoppers that we've seen to date. Even though Cyber Monday is the greatest digital discount day, it's only the second largest revenue producing day, beaten out by Black Friday. Overall, the week captured 37% of the entire season's digital revenue, making it our biggest Cyber Week yet. But the trend is really clear. Shoppers are ready to buy early in the week. During the first 2 weeks of the season, shopper engagement was at an all-time high. So consumers showed the highest levels of buying intent during those first 2 weeks. 25% of shoppers completed an action such as using site search, adding products to their carts, starting a checkout, or completing an order. However, as we moved into Giving Tuesday, we saw shopper fatigue set in pretty quickly. Discounts remained elevated at 29%, but it was clear that the best shoppers came out the week before. After Giving Tuesday, we saw discount rates fall back to those preseason averages, around 20%, 21%. And by the end of the second week, about 50% of all digital shopping was complete for the season. So the message here was really clear to us. Your best shoppers come out early, so you must be ready to engage them quickly and play your best hand early. Once we reached that third week, we saw revenues hold steady from the week before. Discount rates continued to decline back to those preseason averages, averaging around 19%. And as we get towards the end of the week, we saw a slight uptick in revenue as we got closer to that shipping cutoff date, which this year was December 14th. And then once we hit the fourth week, shopping patterns remained very consistent. So by December 15th, which was just past that shipping cutoff, the 80% of all of the season's digital revenue was already captured. And at this point, we're about 70% of the way through the 37-day season. So it put revenue a little bit ahead of pace. When we reach the fifth and final week, we see revenue start to dip in that lead up to Christmas. We saw discount rates rebound slightly to 23%. Retailers at this point are trying to entice those last-minute shoppers with buy online, pick up in store. And then we see one final revenue spike on Boxing Day before the holiday season officially ends. When we step back and look at the season as a whole, there's one key finding that we see pervade, and that is that shopping is happening earlier in the season. So your best shoppers are coming out during Cyber Week, and for some shoppers, their holiday shopping within Cyber Week itself is happening earlier than ever. So you must be ready to engage and convert your shoppers as early as possible, because once they've completed that shopping, they will likely not return later in the season. I'm now going to pass the stage off to Rob. Rob's going to lead us through the top 5 shopper trends that dominated headlines this season.
Thanks, Kayla, and happy holiday, or at least New Year, to everybody on the phone. Glad you could join, and those are great insights. And by all accounts, the holiday season was extremely healthy. We saw headline after headline of various goodness across the industry globally. And as we dug into our data, we really wanted to pull back. What did that mean? What did we see? Not what shoppers say they're going to do, but what they actually did. And as we did that, we identified 5 key insights, and I'm going to share those with you today. So the first one is artificial intelligence. As we step back, generally, we're all amidst this digital transformation, and AI is a key technology that is being adopted in many different ways. As it relates to shopping, though, we saw that fairly pervasively in the holiday season. In fact, 16% of all holiday buyers engaged a product recommendation that was driven by artificial intelligence at some point during the holiday season. And what did that mean to revenue? Well, it translated into 14% higher average order value when compared to buyers that did not engage a product recommendation. It's the old adage of the right product at the right price at the right time. And it becomes more important than ever, particularly as time-starved consumers are traversing from one activity to another and typically looking at their mobile device and often getting distracted. So we must put that right content, that right product, that right price above the fold, if you will, not requiring consumers to tap, swipe, or click 5 times down the page to get the, if you like this, you might like that. So artificial intelligence really drove findability and ultimately revenue, both online, as the stats suggest, but also in the store as well, as more and more retailers are arming their associates with intelligence to really move from a checkout process, which is about speed and efficiency, to a check-in process, which is really around service at that moment of truth. And the second insight we saw was the fact that shoppers are engaging with us as retailers and brands across new forms of service. We found that during the holiday season, we did see calls to call center, the service rep, growing 12%. But that's fairly modest if you think about it. And on some days, we actually saw the calls logged remained flat. What's happening is shoppers are increasingly shifting to emerging customer service channels like social, like messaging, like chat, to get their issues addressed quickly and effectively. I know I took advantage of those features this holiday season. I found that the response time was much quicker than other channels. Now, overall, for the holiday season, Christmas and Boxing Day saw the largest share of call center volume, 21% in fact, of agent activity, as shoppers turn to support centers at some point during those times as consumers are getting their presents, as they're opening their gifts and have questions about features and functions or might need to institute a return. The third insight we saw was around mobile. And let's face it, the mobile device is the remote control of our daily lives, and it was no different this holiday season. Consumers use this early and often. I think, as Kayla talked about, this steady drumbeat of browsing and buying starting all the way on Thanksgiving was in large part because of mobile, the ease and the access. And you compound that with artificial intelligence really breaking down the barrier between inspiration and purchase. We're seeing a significant increase, again, not only in browsing but buying. On average, we saw that 48% of orders were from mobile this holiday season, and 66% of traffic. Now, a couple other really, I think, fascinating nuggets. The highest day for mobile was on Christmas. We saw a record-breaking 60% of shoppers browsing, and 74% of shoppers bought using their mobile device. Now, what we saw is what I think is you kind of think about, wait a minute, isn't the shopping season kind of over by that point? Well, I think two things are contributing to that. First of all, the increase of gift cards. So consumers are getting their gift cards and redeeming them, again, without that friction of having to open a computer, logging on, going to a site, but instantaneous redemption of gift cards. And second, self-gifting. If you didn't get something you liked, you're going to use Christmas Day via your mobile to enact that. The other piece that I found very fascinating relative to mobile was mobile wallet. We saw 28% of mobile buyers using a mobile wallet during the holiday time. Let's face it, it's been really clunky for many of us using the mobile phone as a way to purchase, and the mobile wallet's really breaking down that friction. The fourth area that I want to dive into is social. Social became a breakout star here in the 2018 holiday season. Consumers are going to social to browse and get inspiration, do discovery and research, talking to the friends and family, and we're seeing that it's actually relating into clicks to the retailer and brand site or mobile destination. We're seeing a big increase happening overall, and we can see that continuing to happen with Facebook and Instagram taking the lion's share of that traffic. And finally, the fifth insight we saw that marketers are engaging through new channels, and they're doing it early on. Part of what drove the early engagement starting on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving and all the way through Cyber Week and the season was a steady drumbeat of promotions. On Thanksgiving alone, we saw a significant, along with Black Friday, increase in emails that were sent, but overall, and you can see it here, 159% increase year over year of SMS sends on Thanksgiving, and for the whole holiday season, 23% increases. So it's, as Kayla mentioned, imperative to engage the consumer early on in the shopping season and create a journey to engage them on an ongoing basis. So hopefully that was insightful. I still get really excited about not only the data that was gleaned and the insights that were garnered, but what it means. What do we do from here? Before you know it, we're going to be planning again for holiday 2019. So to help really peel this back, dig through the data, and most importantly, get anecdotes of what's happening at Spalding, we've invited Matthew. And Matthew, thank you for being with us today to chat about how you here and what that means for you moving forward. So first of all, thanks for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in the brand?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. Super exciting when you say, start planning for holiday for, 2019. That's something that most brands, including ourselves, are doing now, and something that we'll certainly get into. Myself, I oversee, digital marketing strategy, content, as well as e-commerce for Spalding, which is an amazing legacy brand that I have the privilege to influence. And that brand in particular has been around since the 1870s, with that first basketball being made in 1894. So, this year is kind of our 125th anniversary of creating that first basketball, into where we are today, where it's a sporting goods brand that you might see on TV every night during the NBA season. So, legacy brands are always evolving, and it's kind of been great to be along for the ride this far, influencing where the brand goes digitally with our partner, Salesforce.
That's great. Thanks for that overview. So why don't we talk a little bit about, as you thought about the holiday and planning for 2018, what were some of the major investments? What are some of the major improvements that you look to make to your experience overall and specifically your site?
Yeah. the number one thing we wanted to do in planning for holiday 2018 is understand what our shoppers were looking for, understanding them, understanding what their needs were. And then the second half of that was just making it easy for them to buy stuff, making it easy to sell, to solve their problems. So I can't stress. I know it's super simple, make it easy to buy stuff, but, that's really what we wanted to do, but understanding them first. So half was an analysis of what they were looking for, kind of comparing it to holiday of previous years, comparing it to trends and things that we think the industry was going. And the other half was making changes to our experience and our merchandising to make it easier. So we did a accelerator on Commerce Cloud called the Shopper Journey back in April, and that really paved the way for some of those technical adjustments outside of campaigns and promotions to focus on for the site. And, really between April and, beginning of November, we moved, we want to talk about, things that we made, where we put our chips. We moved our site over to the Salesforce mobile-first version of Commerce Cloud. We incorporated Einstein for smart product sorting and recommendations, kind of going back, Rob, to what you mentioned about how AI kind of drives that discoverability. We did focus on findability by making more products visible and on screen through some design changes, adjusted categories and navigation, making sure there were categories that were holiday specific, added reviews, launched a loyalty program, which is our CRM called Spalding MVP, and expanded our shipping options to really give the consumer more control, especially around our large basketball hoops that we sell. And then, if we didn't have enough things on our plate already, launched a customization engine called UDesign on our Commerce Cloud website, which allows our visitors and shoppers to design their own basketball. So a couple things kind of recap, really understanding what they were looking for. And the second thing was, how can we make it easy through the experience, and what can we add to really, be a butler to them.
That's
I love
great.
it. I mean, I
Thanks,
love the
Matt.
fact that you first listened. Go ahead, Kayla. I know you had some questions to fire away, Matthew.
Sorry, Rob. Matt, mobile is such a important topic. I love the topic of mobile. I've talked at length about it this year. And, Rob just spoke about how important mobile was this holiday season. How mobile is your typical shopper, and did you see any specific trends over this holiday that were interesting to you?
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of over-index, the stat that, that your Rob shared, that majority of our traffic, 80%, was for mobile over the holiday. So it was between 80 and 81%, which is 51% greater than usual. So we try to talk about mobile during holiday. These our fans are on the go, and not just our fans. I think people in general, with the most connected generation in history, they're really leveraging those mobile devices to get things when they want them. And so for Spalding, after kind of some of these changes that we made, we didn't just see those impact on mobile conversions, but just on the source of traffic, where 80% over the holiday season did come from mobile devices.
Wow, that's incredible. What kind of investments did you guys make in order to help support that massive amount of traffic coming from mobile?
Yeah, we invested in a lot of things that again made it easy for people to buy stuff, and we really looked at what about that experience made things difficult. I think of a dirt road or a bumpy road, and if you're from Michigan like me, like really basically any Michigan road that's full of potholes, to kind of diagnose where were these potholes, where were some things on the site where or in our experience, not just on the site, that was making it difficult for fans to get what they wanted. And how we kind of address this internally is, as everyone's a marketer, is you don't really have to be an expert on cars to understand if one is smooth to drive, and you don't really need to be a digital expert to understand if an engagement with the brand or a shopping experience is easy for you. So we really used a lot of data, but also our own internal intuition, so we can be fast, responsive, and easy. And we wanted to fulfill that promise of the Spalding experience. So as a legacy brand, people expect things from you, and if you're not on pace with a lot of those, other digitally born brands, you can start to see some people, kind of switching away, and that's not something that we want to happen. So one of the first investments that we made was we did an accelerator to really help us identify and improve those areas of focus that were maybe the biggest potholes in the experience. And that led to a lot of the formatting of content slots, our listing pages, our AI integrations, our mobile checkout experience, having sticky add to cart buttons on product pages, really tactical things like that we viewed as the absence of those being, almost like potholes, and really invested in that accelerator, invested in a lot of that data, invested in that user experience road mapping to determine what we wanted to fix first.
I love it. It sounds like you're really infusing digital into what you're calling a legacy brand. I'm guessing it really takes a big cultural shift, and going back to your first answer, really listening to your customers, which you have. And speaking of that, what about social? We talked about social as part of being a breakout star this holiday season. It's becoming more sticky, and it's driving increased traffic. Can you talk about what social means for you and your shopper, Matthew?
Yeah, for Spalding in particular, I mean, we're in an interesting situation because the NBA has the most engaged fan base out of any sport or league globally. NBA Twitter, follow that hashtag, it's a thing. All their teams have their own, and these are fans that are engaging with the sport online. They're on their second screens, and they're a very, very connected fan base of all ages. So social is really, really important for us. So being that official ball and hoop, it kind of gives us some avenues to reach people with the right message at the right place, right time, relevant ways, and that is social. And if you're not if you're not on that screen during those conversations and delivering the right solutions at the right time, then you're not reaching the full potential of the brand. So we really went in this year around holiday with Twitter e-commerce and saw some really great results for that, given how engaged that fan base is. And it was kind of like this perfect storm of the right time. You have the tip off to the NBA season, late October. You're going into November, and you have some really great stories around the teams, all the way to kind of the anticipated Christmas Day NBA games between some of the big time teams and the big time players. And we use that really to our advantage. So, if you were an Atlanta Hawks fan and you followed them and you talked about them and you were an online buyer and, some other things with our targeting, you would see things that were the most relevant to you. And when you came to our site, kind of with those AI integrations, you would see, the products that were more relevant to you. And we really kind of use social to start that experience.
Love it. You brought up the loyalty program. Could you talk a little bit more, Matthew, about how the loyalty program that you launched impacted holiday and the interaction you've had with your shoppers?
Yeah, the loyalty is really important, and not loyalty as in always delighting and free things, which certainly we do delight our loyalty members. But it played a really, really big role in why people wanted to shop with Spalding in the first place and really invest in the transaction on your site versus another place where your product might be sold, like an Amazon or in store. So 60% of our loyalty members actually converted. And converted around the holidays, which is a really, really large number for us. So they drove a lot of volume. And so we understand. So not only do we understand them, we understand their needs, we understand their favorite teams, we understand where they are in the buying cycle. We're able to take that and replicate it on the site and replicate that through our, whether it's our social ads or communications or, other forms of marketing material, all the way down to our physical owned media like our site, to give them the best experience. And so our MVP program is a way for us to kind of collect that data to ensure you're getting that value exchange non-transactionally through the most easy, enjoyable experience as possible, but also, transactionally through, exclusive deals and discounts over the holidays, which we offered as well. But we saw a really, really, really big lift from our loyalty members.
Matt, that's great, and these insights are awesome. I want to give the audience time to ask some questions for you as well, and also move into our buzzer bust game. So I'm going to give you one final question to close out our Q&A, and that is, after such a a successful holiday season and putting so much effort behind all the investments that you need, now that the wisdom that you've learned from this holiday, what are you going to focus now as you move into 2019 to prepare for next year?
Yeah, that's a really great question. For us, if we could summarize it, it's really what are the things that the biggest thing we're going to focus on is probably advocacy through experience. And Rob talked a lot about service in that moment of truth. And that moment of truth for buying isn't as much triggered by a brand, paid media or a jingle or a commercial today, as it's really advocated through someone who had a really great experience with you. And that is amplified now through social, where our experiences are shared really like never before. So to accomplish this, we're really going to lean into CRM. We're really going to lean into AI to help us deliver the most relevant products, the most relevant information and content and promotions to the right people at the right time, really making it easy. As the web becomes more integrated across platforms, we think those users are going to start to expect that personalization, expect that value exchange. And for us, that'll really be led by CRM integrating to all of our platforms.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to be here today with us. And with that, we'll move into our big game. We love this game. It's called Buzz or Bust. So, Matt, what I'm going to do is I'm going to present you with 5 industry buzzwords, and you're going to tell us whether you think they're buzzworthy or if they are a bust. So are you ready?
Perfect. I am ready.
Perfect. Okay, our first buzzword is location-based marketing. Buzz or bust?
I would say, that's not even a buzz. That's just marketing now. I mean, there's just so many differences in purchasing behavior and domestic and international regions, different dialects, certain populations that are linguistically different, and product availability is different. Growth opportunities are different in markets, but so it's definitely a buzz.
Perfect. Rob, do you have any opinions on this one?
No, I love it. It's kind of like, hey, people talked about omnichannel retailing forever, and now it's just retailing. It sounds like similarly you're saying it's not about location-based marketing. It's just marketing. It's where the consumer is, particularly it's just marketing. Yeah, so good. Let's crank along here. And next topic, next buzzword, finance or installment payment options. What do you think here, Matthew?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say that's definitely a buzz. And the reason I would say that is we have millennials are some of the most debt conscious. I would say they're the most debt conscious generation in history. And studies show that they are ditching credit cards, from JP Morgan and TD had some really great research on this. But the question isn't whether payment options are here to stay, but I think it's whether or not your payment solution can accept those alternative board of payments and meet the demand from what's going to have from a generation that's going to have a really big influence on the economy, moving forward. So I would definitely say it's a buzz, just due to the fact that urban millennials are debt conscious and they're not having as many credit cards as some of the older generations.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is also a buzz, and I think we just as retailers need to understand how that works within the process flow and just the overall management of that type of payment.
Yeah. I completely agree. All right, guys, next one is voice. So the role of voice in commerce, buzz or bust?
Oh my gosh. My mom actually uses voice search for absolutely everything. Even voice for everything, searching or texting. So I would not using my mom as my own focus group, but I would say that's here to stay. And voice has kind of offered this new frontier for search, and which is important for SEO because it's more important than ever to ensure your copy is a balance between those anchor keywords and the way that humans speak. If you go on Google's app, you open the Google app on your iPhone, it's not even asking you to search for something anymore. It's asking you to say, "Hey Google," first. It's kind of encouraging that, and we're kind of seeing that influence behavior as it goes on. So I definitely say voice is here to stay.
Yeah, I mean, I think voice is the user interface. It's just a question of the capabilities and the application of it. I think it's going to really play out over the next couple of years as to how it, continues to allow the shopping to become frictionless, to be seamless, and just like, as one former customer of ours puts, shopping's going to feel like you're stealing in the future. It's going to feel like it's so easy.
I agree. Although,
and she, by the way, she's not a former customer because she got arrested for shoplifting. I just want to be really clear about that. Anyway, go ahead.
I was just going to say I agree. Although I feel like as a shopper, the value of voice has yet to be proven to me. So I'm interested to see where the technology goes and how retailers can fit it into the experience and prove the value of using voice in that shopper experience. All right, let's move on to the next one. Rob, you want to take this one?
Yeah, let's do this and let's finish it off here so we can get to some audience questions here. But on the other side of the coin, let's talk visual search. So, hey, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to type, but hey, I have a picture of it. What do you think?
I think it's a little too soon to tell. I think it could be really big for apparel brands as people like to shop for certain styles, and they might see something and they might not know what it is. And there's kind of like that envy of what someone has or someone is wearing. If it's intuitive to use as Shazam, which kind of pioneered audio searches to solve that problem that we're in all the time of, I heard that song, I don't know that song. Listen to it and tell me which one it is. If it's intuitive to use as that, then I would say yes, but it kind of comes down to the experience. But I would say it could be really, really big for retail and for apparel, but I'm not entirely sold on it yet.
I'm a big user of visual search from a furniture perspective. I'm very design challenged, so I like taking screenshots on social media and using visual search to help decorate my house with recommended products. This is one I use actively. Okay, great. Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to wrap up our holiday and our webinar by giving us all just a few main takeaways as we think about what we should be doing as we head into the 2019 season, which seems like so far away, but we'll be here before we know it. So the first main takeaway is to invest in mobile and social. Rob talked at length about how important these two channels are in driving traffic and orders. So really, if you aren't already thinking about them, really optimize throughout the rest of this year to be ready for next year or next holiday. The second is to improve product findability. Connecting your shoppers to your product is incredibly important. Tools like AI and search can help do that for you. So optimize your search experience, implement AI throughout your site, and it will help drive revenue for you next year. And then our final takeaway is, just supporting your shoppers across multiple channels, whether it's commerce, marketing, service. Providing that seamless experience to your shopper is invaluable to them, and shoppers expect that these days. So how can you optimize those experiences? How can you integrate and create that seamless shopping experience? And I want to thank you all for being here today with us. This was really fun. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Matt. Really amazing insights from Matt, and excited to see what you guys do this year as you lead up to the next holiday shopping season. And with that, I will pass it back off to Debbie.
Thank you so much, Kayla, Rob, and Matt. It was a great presentation. I love the buzz or bust section, although you didn't really pick anything that was a big bust, so I'm curious about that. But I just think that just sharing this kind of valuable insight at this time of year is so important for retailers because they need, this will give them a chance to, if they haven't already implemented some of the things you're talking about, start trying them out now so that you're not doing it at the last minute right before the holiday season, because that's definitely a bust. So thanks to all of you for sharing your insights today. So we do have a couple of questions that we can get to right now. And again, I want to remind the audience, if you have questions for any of our speakers, feel free to submit them at any point during the presentation. If we don't get to them, they can follow up with you by email afterwards. So please do send your questions in. So first question here is for Matt, and it's about Thanksgiving. We talked a lot about Christmas and around that time, but this question is about have you seen a lot of shoppers or more shoppers coming out on and around the Thanksgiving holiday?
Yes,
that's for you, Matt.
Actually, yep, great question. Actually, even before then. The first thing I'd really encourage anyone to do is kind of look at when the searches start starting for your brand categories, and you kind of see that going back further and further and further and further. And so for us, it really started closer to the end of middle to the end of October. Around Thanksgiving, that's when we saw our greatest peak between Black Friday and Cyber Monday and traffic sources. So it stayed consistent all the way up until I would say the 22nd of December. But the largest peak that we saw was right around Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But that initial first click, people did come back later on that we saw through our analytics and get things that were in their cart or get things in their wish list or get some of the things that they were looking for. But really the holiday purchasing started really towards the middle of October for us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of what I've heard from other retailers in the industry as well, is that it's starting earlier and earlier. So, again, great to have these insights this early in the year so that you can start to prepare. Yep. I had a quick question about just about designing your own basketball. I was curious to know how popular that's been and if there's a specific demographic that's taking advantage of that.
Yeah, so really there's no demographic that is taking advantage of it more than others. I would say it's very popular between athletes and parents. We did launch something on our B2B site for coaches, and that has been very popular as well. The U-Design was is a custom basketball engine that is on our site that we wanted to give people the ability to customize their own product. And customization isn't just something that we saw in sporting goods. It's kind of, really across all consumer goods. One of my favorite ones that was launched is actually by Polo Ralph Lauren around the holidays, where you can kind of customize your own clothing items, from your hats to your shirts. So, people are really looking for things that no one else can get, and they want that great e-commerce experience with the speed of Amazon. So really the challenge was, how do we do something that's mobile first? How can we get people to customize their own products? We know there's the demand for it, and how do we get it out the door in 1 to 2 business days when, as an industry, if you look in custom products for sporting goods, there's some folks out there that offer it, but they don't ship it until 2 weeks after you place that order. So, we looked at our process and we did a couple things. So we're averaging, shipping between 1 to 3 business days of getting your order. So we're doing it at a great speed. But customization since it launched over the holidays was responsible for just over 25% of all of our holiday volume, which was absolutely massive for a brand new program. We soft launched it right before Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We saw a couple orders come through, and the person that actually placed our first order, we actually gave them a phone call and asked them how the experience was. And we looked at some of the, person like, hey, it's, digital marketing manager was Spalding. How was your experience? We really got down to that level, and so we made sure by the time, Cyber Monday, Black Friday came around, it was as best as it could possibly be.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you added the personal touch to it and reached out. And that's such an important point to make. I mean, people know that they need to do customization and personalization, but if you can't deliver it in the expected time frame from the shopper point of view, then that'll also be a bust. So it's great that you're able to offer it and get it to customers quickly. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. All right, so I have a couple of questions for the Salesforce folks. One of the questions is about social platforms. Is there a particular social platform that you are seeing outperform all the others?
Do you want to take that, Kayla?
Kayla or Rob, go ahead. Yep. Go ahead.
So typically we're seeing the most amount of traffic right now coming in through Facebook. Instagram is also another big one that we see for driving traffic, but really the bulk of traffic is coming in through Facebook right now. The other platforms like Twitter and Pinterest probably fall in the third, fourth, fifth category. So the top two, I would say, are Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm. All right, terrific. Rob, did you want to add anything?
No, I think she hit the nail on the head. It's only going to increase, though, and we're also, I'm looking forward to tracking moving forward when the buy button is actually embedded in these social platforms so that the consumers aren't required to punch out and go into another platform, but rather embedded right within the social experience. So that'll be an interesting advancement we'll be tracking.
Yep. Anything you can do to make the experience more seamless is definitely the right direction, I think, to go in.
Exactly.
And I know yep. So one more question, I think, and I think we're going to have to try to wrap up soon, but again, I want to remind everyone, if you have a question, please send it through, and they'll reach out to you afterwards. But this question, I know we talked about it a little bit already, but the question is around the future of voice in commerce, and I don't know if there's any other details that any of you would like to add around voice.
Yeah, I'll jump in. It's not substantiated by the data across our platform, but what I will say is that, as I mentioned before, voice really I see as the next shopping user interface. And, I think about my 9-year-old son. He uses it every day to listen to music and ask for the weather and put into a fictitious shopping cart. But there's not, it's not too distant in the future where you combine voice with artificial intelligence, and the assistant will know before you do that you need to replenish certain items. So that's going to play a role, and certainly we're seeing our customers play around with, point applications like order status. That's a great way for a consumer to bypass having to call somebody or look online and just really quickly say, where's my shipment? And it cuts down, obviously, creates automation and so forth as well. I could see it in the physical store as well, just like within warehouses that are using voice today to do pick, pack, and ship. I could see store associates and the consumers themselves using voice. So we're at the early stages, but where we are today with this digital transformation, voice is definitely one of those buzzworthy type of initiatives to think about.
Yeah, and I just think that the more and more that you see people using these things in their everyday lives, voice or visual, retailers need to be paying attention to that and realize that, once consumers are using it as part of their everyday lives, they need to be there as well. So, I think you guys made that point earlier too. All right, I think that we're going to start to wrap up. Before we do, I want to give the floor back to Rob for a moment. Many of us are going to be headed to the NRF Big Show in a few days at the Javits Center in New York City, and Retail Touchpoints will be there, booth 624 if you want to stop by. Salesforce will be there in force, and there's a charity effort that Rob wanted to talk about real quick, just to let our attendees know before you head over to the NRF Big Show next week. So, Rob, tell us about that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Debbie. And this is really a combination of fun, social, and, as you mentioned, charity. So we're going to be doing a challenge called the Garfy Challenge. So hashtag GARF. i.e. find me at the show. One great place to find me is at 1 o'clock on Sunday in our Big Idea session or at our booth. I'll also be at the Kathy Haka party, and I'll be traversing a lot of different places all through the next 5 days. Take a picture with me, post it to social, and we'll donate money to Retail ROI for Children in Need. And our goal is to raise $2,500 for that great, great charity. So I look forward to seeing everybody there.
Awesome. And that Retail Orphan Initiative is a fantastic charity, so I hope everybody will participate. And we'll see way too many photos of Rob during NRF. All right. So, again, I want to thank all of our speakers today. It was a great presentation, great discussion, and I think we're just going to wrap up. You'll all be able, you can see the link to the presentation here, but you'll receive it via email as well. And I want to just say from myself and Retail Touchpoints, Happy New Year. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you at NRF.